Welcome into DMVSTREAM.COM, folks. Bob Trossett alongside Joey Kamide, the publisher and editor of Nova Baseball Magazine. How are you?
Doing good, man.
Hey, ready to talk some baseball.
Let's do it.
It may be fall and it may be big time football right now, but let's talk about baseball a little bit, huh?
I apologize to all those football fans for treading on their time here, but yes, I'm looking forward to talking some baseball.
Listen, so you've compiled the all-time top 10 baseball teams in the Northern Virginia area. But first, before we get to that, because I know people are on the edge of their seats about those teams, just take us through what is exactly Nova Baseball Magazine and how far it's come in the last couple of years.
Yeah, man, it's my baby. You know, I established it February 2015. It's all online based for the most part now. It's a daily website. We've got a monthly digital magazine, a weekly newsletter that goes out to the email inboxes of baseball folks throughout the area, and then eventually we're hoping that's going to morph into some more video features, maybe a game of the week, and the big plan would be eventually an actual print magazine to come out on a monthly basis. But a lot of overhead when you bring stuff like that into play, so we need to bring in a bunch of advertising revenue. So if you're a business out there in Northern Virginia you're watching and you want to get in front and center in front of the Nova baseball community, drop me a line.
Cool. Yeah, and where exactly can you find the content for you?
So it's just NovaBaseballMagazine.com. We made the absolute longest URL we could find, and we put it down. No, but that's NovaBaseballMagazine.com. We're on Twitter. We're on Facebook. We're all over social media as well.
There it is right there. Easy to find. I like that. Accessible.
Absolutely.
Let's jump right into this top 10 teams.
Yeah.
I know,
right.
And looking at the list right off the bat, I see a lot of Warhawks. A lot of Warhawks.
Oh, yeah. A lot of Warhawk, very Warhawk heavy top 10. So essentially what we did was we went out and we got a bunch of nominees. If you won a state championship, whether private or public school, you were automatically qualified. And that got us to about 35. And then reached out to current, former players, coaches from the area. We ended up getting our nominee list to 60. And then what I did was I took these 60 teams dating back to 1932. We had the Alexandria High School, which eventually became George Washington High School, and then was merged to become what is today T.C. Williams High School. That's the oldest team. So took those 60 teams and we presented to a committee that I put together. Unbelievable the names that we got on this this committee. There's 18 current and former head coaches. Between them it was something like 2,000 career wins. No, I'm sorry, more than that. 3,000 career wins, 13 state championships. You know, just crazy the experience that we got with this group of coaches. That they were the ones that picked the actual 10 and then ranked them. So every time I talk to one of those coaches, I said, I just want to thank you for taking that off my plate and taking the pressure off me. Putting the 60 together was easy. Sending all that information to you guys and actually picking them was difficult. But I do know that they really enjoyed it based on some of the emails and the phone calls that I've gotten.
So what you're saying is with the amount of experience that you have on that committee, there's no questions asked. These are the top 10. Is that what you're saying?
Well, you know what? I'm gonna say yes. Why wouldn't I? You know, I've got all the faith in the coaches that we put it together, and it's not like it was just me and a couple guys doing it. You know, you have 18 guys that who just dozens of years of coaching experience. That are putting their heads together and putting this list together. So yeah, absolutely, fantastic job they did.
And speaking of that list, and here we were just looking at it there. There's your top 10. What kind of highlights out of those top 10? Obviously, right out front, the Madison Warhawks went undefeated, and they also were in there a couple more times. What can you tell us about
Well,
those
Madison's teams? Just, folks that know Northern Virginia baseball, you obviously know about Madison. They've got an outstanding tradition with their program over there, and you see the 2002 team, that's always been very highly regarded. As you see, 29-0. They set a state public school record for wins in a season. They finished 4th that year by USA Today nationally. You see J.J. Hollenbeck, he was the Washington Post All-Met Player of the Year, went 12-0 that year. They also had Matt Foley, hit .540. He ended up being the All-Met Player of the Year the following year. So they were just loaded. 9 Division I guys on that team. You saw that 10 shutouts. There's 10 other games they only allowed 1 run. So that's 20 out of 29 games where they're only giving up 1 run or less. that takes a lot of pressure off your offense. So Mark Pudge Jorman was the head coach of that team. And they just got another state title a couple years ago in 2015, just an amazing team, and just regarded over the years as the best high school team in the state of Virginia. And I think this just kind of puts maybe one more stamp on that this was that dominant of a team.
I mean, you really can't. It goes without saying, 29-0 is an incredible accomplishment.
Absolutely,
especially at the high school level.
Yep. And in '93, I believe it was First Colonial down in Virginia Beach. They had gone 28-0. So that's an outstanding season. I think there was a Kempsville team that had gone undefeated, and then we'll talk a little bit more about it. Potomac had gone undefeated in '83, but to win 29, that broke the record for wins in a season, and then also that as well became the most wins by an undefeated team.
Then let's go ahead and jump ahead to that number 4 on your list, Potomac Panthers team. We probably won't have time to get to all 10, but take us through this team.
Yeah, well, so this is the Raleigh brothers, Tim and Dan. You see Tim's numbers there. He was the All-Met Player of the Year in 1983. They go 21-0-1. That one tie was against Garfield. Now this is pre-lights in a lot of the area fields, and so that's why they ended up as a tie with Garfield, because it went to darkness.
Not the next morning.
And I think it was the second time they had played each other, so it's not like you could just make it up before you start the next game against them. So that's why they were not able to finish that out. And that's a point of contention for a lot of those guys. Even to this day, that one tie kind of stands out. But still, 21-0. You look at that, almost 13 runs a game during the regular season. There was 5 times that team scored 19 or more runs. That offensively, you talk about the 02 Warhawks and how dominant they were. That was pitching and defense with a very good offense. That Potomac team was just an extraordinary offensive team. If you're scoring 19 or more runs in a game, that's amazing. That's outstanding.
I'd have to think that they're still chomping at the bit to get rid of that one tie on the record. Huh?
Yeah, maybe they can get together and on the 30-year anniversary of it, they can come together and play each other or something like that again.
All right, let's jump ahead to the 1964 Bishop O'Connell Knights.
Yep.
What was so special about this team in your mind?
So that's another undefeated team, 17-0. They didn't play as many games back then. That's Al Birch. He's the longtime coach and then principal. Unfortunately, we lost Coach Birch a couple years ago. Just big time in that Arlington community. As you can see, 262 wins. Charlie Boone was 9-0 on that team. They were in the midst, that O'Connell team, of a 42-game winning streak that was snapped the following year by Clay Kirby from Washington WNL, which was another one of our nominees from the '66 team, snapped that streak. But there's a plaque in Cooperstown honoring that 42-game winning streak. So obviously the '64 team was a big part of that. Just a big time, and back then Washington and Lee was the big public school powerhouse in Arlington. O'Connell was the private school powerhouse. And O'Connell, they beat them at least once, maybe twice that season. So always a dogfight, between those two teams, and then for them to sweep them and get both wins and then go undefeated. And that team actually, a publication came out. I believe it was in like 1989. It was about 25, 26 years ago, and they were at the time voted as the #1 team of all time from Northern Virginia. So that obviously played a factor with with them being nominated and considered for this as well. And there's some people, our committee is outstanding job. There's some private school folks that have reached out and said, I think they should probably have been top 5. So if we missed on anything, I think it might have been not having that O'Connell team in the top 5.
Listen, I mean, if you have a plaque in Cooperstown,
absolutely,
I think it goes without saying that you were pretty dominant during your time.
Absolutely, no question. I think, and I don't know the exact numbers, but it was about 34 runs they gave up. I think it might be the exact 34 runs all season that team allowed. So 2 runs a game, but they allowed 11 against Yorktown in a 15-11 win. So in the other 16 games, they only gave up 23 runs. So that's just a very impressive job by that pitching staff led by Charlie Boone.
All right, let's now take a jump over to number 9, and whoopee, look who's up again, the Madison Warhawks. How about this team?
So number 9, yep, you mentioned it. I believe that's the '68 Warhawks that we had at number 9. Right there you see Mike Wallace. Local baseball fans recognize Wally. He does a lot with the Nationals on Masson. So if you're watching the pre and post game shows, you're going to see him on there. He ended up pitching in the big leagues for a little while as well. 12-0 that season, and he actually led the Warhawks back to the state championship game again in '69. So he got the win in the '68 championship game and took the loss in the '69 state championship game. But that under Coach Tom Christie was really a dynasty, the beginning of the dynasty. '68, '69, they're in the state final. '70, I think I want to say it was W&L they lost to. In '71, came back, and then they're another team that's on our top 10 with Jay Franklin, won the state title. So they got to the state championship game three out of 4 years. That's impressive.
All right, let's finish things up with number 10 at the very bottom, but again, top 10 all time.
Sure.
So they got to have some respect in your mind, and that is the Marshall Statesman.
Yeah, absolutely, big time. You talk about name power. Pete Shurik is big a name that has come through this Northern Virginia baseball scene. That season alone, I believe it was 13 wins and 11 home runs that the guy hit. That's just in a short 23-game season. That's impressive. And even in that state championship game, so he had won 24 straight decisions going into that state final. He struck out 15 guys. He took the loss, but just kind of a hard luck loser. I want to say it was 2-1. I can't remember exactly what the final score was, but it's not like it was on him that yes, he took the loss. His consecutive decision streak came to an end, but 15 strikeouts. He was still very much Pete Shurik. A lot of people know Pete Shurik from when he went to the big leagues, pitched for the Reds, was second in the Cy Young Award voting in 1995 to Greg Maddux, had an outstanding Major League Baseball career. And you see the numbers, 314 strikeouts over 2 years. That's big time.
I mean, you're really hurling. If you're putting up 314 in 2 seasons, I mean, that's some serious stuff. So
Absolutely.
Listen, thank you for your top 10 analysis. This is great stuff. I want to put you on the spot here for a second, though. So don't kill me when we're going outside in a little bit, all right? I want to know who your team is for October baseball at the MLB level.
Oh, well,
who's your team to look
local
out for?
guy, and it's got to be Nats. But
can they finally get over that hump, though?
It's Harper's shoulder, and you got Strasburg. You don't know what's going on with him. There's too many question marks. Unfortunately, the Cubs they just look amazing this year, and it's probably safe to say they're due. It's been 1908, I guess, was the last time.
That's for sure.
So one of those two teams, either one, I'd be very happy to see it happen.
Yeah, I think we know how it goes by now. Whoever gets hot at the right time in October might just take it the whole way.
Exactly, absolutely. And some of those San Francisco Giants teams we've seen in recent years haven't been great in the regular season. They just catch fire at the right time.
Listen, October baseball is coming. We're almost there. Not quite to the next high school baseball season, but we're really looking forward to it. And we appreciate Joey Kamide, the editor and publisher of Nova Baseball Magazine, for joining us. We appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Come by soon.
Absolutely.
Again, DMVSTREAM.COM. Thanks, guys. See you next time.